Hello everyone, my name is Maruku and welcome back to What If Deku Was a Dragneel? So let's get started. Izuku has come very far with his progress in training. He spent a vast majority of the time clearing the beach and training with Bakugo and spending time with the pretty brunette girl. I'm going to say by this point it's been about 7 out of the 10 months before the UA entrance exam. Now, Izuku is fairly confident now. He's fairly confident in his skills, in his abilities, though he does want to improve. Now, I'm going to say that Izuku has been not only training his body, but his flames. And through the time that he's spent training and getting to know Uraraka, he's kind of figured out that despite him being like Natsu in the anime, a bit of a meathead and all that, he knows that his best friend at Bakugo, if he was to learn of Uraraka, that he would embarrass him or make suggestive claims about the two of them. So he's deciding that he's going to want to keep Uraraka on the down low until it's unavoidable. But nevertheless, he does Izuku is kind of focusing on improving his weak points. Now, I'm going to go over a brief overview of his powers, right? Izuku, by all means, he is physically strong. He is very, 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 fit. He's obviously got his fire to where, to a very, respectable level. Now, I'm going to say that where Deku's fire, Dragon Slayer magic, and Natsu's differ is that because of how the My Hero Academia world works, I'm going to say that the fire that Izuku, eats, he's able to, use, far past the time that he's eaten it, right? So the only difference is that each of the fires that he eats, he has to replenish, right? He's able to use he's able to use the fire from Bakugo's explosions, but if he goes a long time without eating Bakugo's explosions, then that specific fire, inside of him, will get weaker and weaker, to where he's able to use it, but it won't be as strong. And the more types of fire he eats from fire quirks, the stronger his inner flame will get. Because I'm going to say that technically, each fire quirk user is different in their own way. Their fires are unique to them. It's, personalized, right? So, if Izuku was to eat Todoroki's flame, he wouldn't have, it wouldn't be the same as Endeavor's if he ate his flame. He would have to specifically eat Todoroki's flame in order to gain that type of fire back. So it's when it comes down to it, he has a slot system, if you want to call it that, whereas he categorizes different flames that came from different people. Now he can eat natural fire, and that just improves his original fire, but the more types of fires he eats from different people also improves his individual fire. So that by itself is going to be one of his main improvement points. He's strong, and his Dragon Slayer powers are strong, but he's going to need to he needs to eat fire from more people to get more power. That's how he's going to achieve the ability to reach the level of a Crimson Fire Dragon God. So, as it stands, he is still strong, but he's learning to use each individual person's fire. His favorite being since it's the only one so far, is Bakugo, but obviously there's a lot of potential for fires in the future, so he's going to eat a lot of different types of fire. But as it goes on, I'm going to say that Izuku is also, like, he's not incredibly smart, but he's not, like, a complete moron like Denki. So he knows that if he doesn't improve himself, he's going to fall behind. He's going to have, like, big weaknesses kind of, like, pop up and become an issue. And instead of, like, waiting for problems to come around, whereas, like, he's constantly struggling all the damn time because he can't bring himself to, like, overcome these, like, issues, he's deciding that it would be a better idea to learn what his limits are before he's forced to face them. Like, obviously, one of his main weaknesses that he's going to have to deal with is the fact that he's naturally weaker against water-based quirks. But other than that, like, his other abilities, like, also include the fact that he's able to kind of, like, propel himself using his fire and, like, intentionally or not intentionally kind of, like, emanate heat from his body, which he does with Bakugo in order to help Bakugo expand his pores, and also give him a better chance of when sparring against, Izuku, right? He does it on purpose to help Bakugo sweat. But other than that, Izuku is getting closer to Uraraka. He's he's getting pretty chummy with her. To where, like, she'll usually come by Dagobah, like, in the afternoons when Izuku is working on it, and they'll usually kind of, Uraraka will kind of make it to where her running or whatever is, like, usually done by then, and either they'll walk together, or Uraraka will come do weight training with Izuku by moving trash around, which Deku is also kind of doing for the purpose of, like, training his heat. Like, now the boy's fire is so hot that he can literally make metal into like a molten. Like, he can turn it molten with his flames now. Like, not incredibly fast, but very, very fast. And as time goes on, I'm gonna say that, like, by this point, like, I'm gonna say now we're gonna be at, like, 8 months out of the 10 months. Izuku has cleared out about 95% of the beach. Like, it looks immaculate. It looks very clean. Like, the only thing that's left is maybe the a little bit of trash here and there, but otherwise it looks spectacular. It looks, like, gorgeous. And at this point, like, Izuku is kind of, like, he's cleared it up, and Uraraka is there with him, and he's just kind of thinking to himself, man, this looks very beautiful. It looks well done. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of the effort and, like, how much I've put into this, Like, he really is proud. And he looks over to Uraraka, and he's just kind of, like, he's mesmerized by her shapely form all over again, because, she's a very, very beautiful girl. She's, like, and all that. But Izuku and is just kind of, like, admiring her look, and she says, Deku, the beach looks a lot better. I mean, I'd say that this is one of the prettiest spots around. He's like, yeah, the view is truly beautiful. And Uraraka says, "What'd you say?" He's like, "Oh, what? Nothing. I didn't say nothing." But, like, if you didn't get it, he was looking at her when he said that. But anyway, he's like, yeah, it's real pretty around here, I mean, I did a lot of heavy lifting, and with a little bit of your help, we did quite a good job, And she's like, yeah, we did. And Izuku goes, so since we've essentially cleaned up this whole thing of trash, how about we go for a walk for a little bit? Spend some time together." She's like, "That's a great idea, Deku." And they leave and they're starting to walk a bit down the road, and as they're doing this, Izuku's like asks her exactly like what kind of hero does she want to become, right? And like does she want to specialize in rescue? Does she want to specialize in combat? Or and Uraraka says that she would love to be a rescue hero, due in part that she admires the pro hero 13. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that 13's pretty awesome." She's like, "You know about 13?" She's like, "Yeah, I do." And she's not one of the most popular heroes, but like I admire her quirk. It's pretty cool. For someone who has such a destructive quirk to be a rescue hero, it kind of puts a perspective of despite what kind of quirk you have, whether it's incredibly dangerous or not, anyone could truly be a hero with a dangerous quirk or not. It's a matter of wanting to or striving to be better using that quirk instead of actively seeking out the darker side of society. He's like, "That was very philosophical." He's like, "Was it?" He's like, "Yeah, it was kind of poetic. Not to say that you're not poetic or anything, but it was really beautiful." And Deku kind of he smiles, and a small tint of red kind of goes over his face just a little bit, not noticeable enough, but to where he can, despite the fact that he is heat resistant, he can feel it just a little bit. But Uraraka, she starts walking scooting up real close to him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I never noticed how warm you were, Deku." It's like, "Oh, yeah, I radiate heat off of my skin whenever I'm not actively trying to hold it in." She's like, "Oh, you do?" She's like, "Yeah, I do." It was unintentional, but it helps. It helps. It can definitely help when I'm in combat. I mean, wear out the enemy by making them really hot. I'm pretty sure most people would probably give up it if they were put in that much heat. It's like, "Oh, definitely. Unless it was winter, I wouldn't be able to handle this kind of heat in summer." He's like, "I know, right? That's why it's perfect." It's like, "Yeah, it is perfect." But either way, he tells her that he's hoping for the best in terms of the entrance exam, and even though he may not know 100% what will happen, he's hoping that the both of them can do something incredible and at least get through. And then he kind of thinks to himself, "Huh, if I was a hero, what would I wear?" And he's like, "Hey, Uraraka, out of curiosity, have you actually put any thought into the kind of hero costume you want to wear?" She's like, "Oh, yeah. I think I'd wear something that looks kind of like a space suit, kind of, but it's pink and black." He's like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Well, what will you wear, Deku?" He's like, "Well, due in part that I kind of generate fire out of my body, legitimately from my hands, feet, can breathe it. I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna be very limited on the things I can wear, especially when it comes down to the fact that it's undoubtedly hard to get materials that are extremely flame proof. That's why I'm very careful whenever I'm around, whenever I'm in civilian clothes, because if I let myself get too hot, my clothes will start to burn, and that's not fun. And in this moment, Uraraka begins to kind of let her mind wander as to what he's referring to. And she just can't help herself but to go a bit red at thinking of Izuku accidentally kind of like burning his clothes, and then and then everyone, then the whole world, or like and like specifically her, not the whole world. Like I guess I'm thinking of like the UA Sports Festival for some reason, but like just like she gets to like the kind of view she'd get if he accidentally burned his clothes off, and then she goes completely red. She's like, oh, yeah, you wouldn't want that to happen. And then and he's like, is everything all right, Ochako? You look like you're you've gone red, like you're completely burning up. She's like, yeah. I'm totally fine. I was just thinking of something funny. And he's like, okay then. But he does kind of describe the kind of like outfit that he would wear, but he doubts that that his costume will be completely flame proof or flame retardant to kind of counteract the fact that his flames are like extremely hot. Now he does kind of like preface that the one item on him at the moment that is completely fireproof is his scarf, because it's made from dragon scale. But on the other hand, the only thing that he can think of at the moment that would work for him is maybe something like a how do I phrase it? It's like a vest that has it's like a sleeveless vest that's like black and orange, that that has like kind of like a coattail effect, and he's imagining like some kind of like loose breathable pants to kind of something like that, like desert kind of themed. That, and like with that comes like a very large black coat that whenever that helps to kind of obscure like how his body looks, because people won't he doesn't want people to see the like how his quirk is kind of like exhibited through his body, because as it's been prefaced before, he's able to kind of like shift his skin into like scales with claws at will, which is technically an effect from his father's quirk that was added because later, due in part that he did his Dragon Slayer training and then just developed it. But he's gonna have a black coat that streams down his back. It goes over the vest too, and it's kind of like an alternative costume for winter time. The black vest would be for wintertime weather, but that's he's telling her that it's kind of a minimalistic idea that restricts him from having to worry about accidentally burning his clothes. And she's like, yeah, that actually does kind of make sense. And so they're just going along, trying to spend time together. And I'm gonna say that we're gonna fast forward up until the UA entrance exams, and Izuku, by this point, he has Uraraka's number, and he'll text her often, but before he before he leaves the house, he sends her a text saying, "Are you do you have everything for the exam? And she sends it back saying, yes, I have everything that I think I'll need for the entrance exam. He's like, good. I'll meet you, I'll meet you at the beach, and we can walk over together. And she's like, okay, I'll meet you there. So, he gets his things together, and, like, they have, like, a rendezvous time, and he makes his way over there, but, like, he's kind of, like, running late, so he, like, while he's, like, going over there, he's looking around to make sure that no heroes will see him, but he, like, while he's going, like, down the street, he's propelling himself a little bit, like, from his hands with his fire to kind of speed it up because he doesn't want to be late to meet up with her. But, like, he gets there and he's trying to kind of, like, fan off his hands to kind of, like, get rid of the whole smoke look on his hands. But, like, he looks around, he sees, and he doesn't see her, so he takes a deep breath. He's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't, I'm glad I made it here first. But, like, so he sits there and he sees her kind of, like, around a corner, and he waves her over, and, like, they meet up, and he gives her a big old smile and says, yeah, you ready to go? She's like, yeah, of course I am. And they start walking together, and Izuku's like, hey, do you remember what time the exam is supposed to be? She's like, I don't think it's supposed to be for another hour, but it wouldn't hurt to be there early. He's like, because I got an idea. If you're willing, I'm not going to force you to do anything. She's like, what were you thinking of, Deku? She says very softly. He's like, well, technically, I'm not. It would be like illegal because we're not supposed to be using quirks outside of without a license, right? But I feel that I'm fairly fast, and if I was to get you to use your anti-gravity quirk, then maybe, just maybe, I could fly fast enough to get us to zoom all the way up to the school, and we wouldn't have to worry. She's like, okay, just as long as you're sure that we'll be safe about it. He's like, oh, I promise we will. So she asks him how this is gonna work, and he tells her that for her to turn around, and she does, and he kind of like scoops her up with in his in both his arms, like in a bridal carry. He's like, and she's blushing. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm gonna carry you. Now, we're gonna fly, so it's like I'm choosing the position that's going to get to work the best for carrying you without accidentally burning you. She's like, oh, okay, and he's like, okay, now touch my arm, and she reaches around and she touches his hand, which gives him the zero gravity. He's like, whoa, this is kind of weird. Give me a second to adjust. He's like, and he's kind of testing out the flames and around his body, and he feels when he feels confident, he's like he angles his feet and he angles his body in the right position, and he just takes off like zoom, and I mean really zoom. He just he's burning rubber. He's catching a gear and disappearing really, really fast. But essentially, he gets there they get there extremely early, and before they even get to the school, Izuku is kind of still watching around him, and making sure that nothing is going to surprise attack them before they get to the school. But for the sake that UA is very prestigious and he would not want to get caught on one of their cameras, he kind of lets it off and tells her release, and so she does. And as they're kind of getting closer to the ground, he spins around he creates the scales around his legs to brace for the impact. He's like, hold on tight. I wouldn't want to drop you now. She's like, what are you gonna do? You'll see. So she grabs onto him real tight and holds on, and he hits the ground, and his feet are just dragging against the asphalt. If he did not have the scales, he would his feet would be torn up so bad. But like, lucky for them, he has his scales, so he's taking no damage from this. But like, he is just like dragging against the asphalt real hard, and like, once they stop, Uraka looks down. It's like, oh my god, Deku, are you okay? Like, yeah, I have my scales. My scales are like really, really tough. That and living in a forest for 2 years, your feet kind of, develop that type of roughness. So I'm pretty sure by this point, even if I didn't put the scales along my legs, I'd more than likely not have. I still probably not have enough damage to consider being off my feet. It's like, I don't know whether to be impressed or repulsed, but hey, I'll take it. It's pretty awesome. It's like, yeah, I know it is, right? The powers of a dragon and survival skill have prevailed again. But essentially, he puts her down, and they walk the rest of the way up to the campus, and he's like, I really hope the cameras didn't catch us doing that. She's like, we both better hope that the cameras didn't catch you doing that. Because if they ask how the hell you were able to zoom that fast up to the campus, and yet you're not able to reach that level of speed by yourself, they're going to assume that the girl you were carrying did something to you. And if I do get in and they figure out I have an anti-gravity quirk, the whole investigation will be out the window. They'll have everything they need. But they walk in, and Izuku's real confident. Like, he slips the shoes back on from that he was wearing before flying, and basically dragging his whole foot across the ground to stop. And they're walking in, and obviously no one's there yet, but he's like, man, this place is huge. I'm so excited. She's like, yeah, I am too, is what Uraka said. He's like, oh shoot, I should probably call my friend. He's also taking the exam. She's like, oh really? What's his name? He's like, oh, his name's Bakugo. He's like my best friend since we were really, really small kids. He's like, oh really? He's like, yeah. Give me a second, let me see where he is. And Izuku proceeds to call, and Bakugo answers like, what do you want, nerd? He's like, hey, I'm at the campus. How long do you think it'll be till you get here? He's like, how are you at the campus already? Usually you don't wake up till late. He's like, I'm aware of that, Bakugo, but as you can see, I'm here. I'm at the campus. It's like, how the hell did you... don't question it, Bakugo. Just don't. It'll be less of a headache for you. He's like, fine. I'll be there in 10 minutes, I guess. Why are you there so early? And Izuku goes, well, I just felt like being here early, man. It's like, I'm excited. Aren't you? He's like, of course I'm excited. Besides, this is a rather intriguing opportunity to get into our dream school, so who wouldn't be excited? Now, while they're kind of, going through the motions of all this and all that, I'm gonna say that Uraka is kind of like swaying on on her feet, and she's waiting for Izuku to finish the conversation. And when he finally gets off, he's like, yeah, my friend will be here in 10 minutes. Do you want to wait inside, or would you prefer to wait out here? She's like, well, I'll wait out here, I don't mind. And they're waiting outside, and Izuku is thinking to himself, damn, dude, I was hoping that I could get away with not having Bakugo meet her until as late as possible, but I can't tell her that I would rather her not meet my best friend. What if she feels insulted? Which she wouldn't, because Uraka is a bean. She's adorable. She wouldn't be like that. But nevertheless, Izuku is kind of trying to prepare Uraka by explaining the kind of person that Bakugo is, and he's like, hey, before you meet him, I would like to preface that Bakugo is a bit rough around the edges. He's not like entirely like he can be a bit hard to manage, like, you know, a bit of a hothead. So like, no matter what, I would ask that you like not hold his personality against him. It's like, of course I won't. If he's if he's a friend of you, then he'll be a friend of mine. Now, trust me, I've dealt with a lot of hot-headed people in the past. He's like, okay, then I tried to warn you. So they continue to, like, Izuku has like accurately and attempted his hardest to prepare Uraraka for the firecracker Pomeranian boy as best as he can. It's all up to fate now if Bakugo can behave himself and not be a complete and utter pain in the neck. Which he's hoping Bakugo will not be a pain in the neck. But as they're kind of waiting and all that, after the 10 minutes pass, the blonde Pomeranian boy kind of rounds the corner and he's like, yeah, I'm here to... What the? And he kind of like moves pretty fast over. He's like, what the hell? What's with the chick? He's like, hey, first of all, don't mind your manners. Second of all, this is my other friend. He's like, snitch, since when have you had another friend? He's like, I have friends outside of you. He's like, who? And he's like, well, her, obviously. He's like, but who else? He's like, Bakugo, you do remember that most of our class back in Aldera were a bunch of thick-headed morons, right? I'm counting this, okay? I'm counting this. I can have friends outside of you. You don't have to be a jealous Pomeranian. He's like, what did you call me? And he's like, hey, you're the one who insulted me by saying that I'm not able to make friends outside of you. It's like, whatever. It's like, yeah, well, I'm Kosuke Bakugo. I'm this dweeb's best friend. He's like, whatever you say, you spiky Pomeranian. And Uraraka is just kind of like having a hard time processing all of this. He's like, Spiky, what? The dweeb? What's going on? And like, it's kind of like confusing her, the whole dynamic between these two. And Izuku goes, I can see that you're very confused. Let me explain this. Let me break it down for you, girlie. This is my frenemy. He's my rival, but he's also my best friend. We know each other since we were real little. So the fact that we can insult each other without being pissed off is a testament to how close we are. But regardless, don't let his obnoxious attitude be too overbearing. He's like, hey, don't let this one over here do anything weird. He's a freaking hero nerd who likes to dissect everything about a person's quirk. He's like, okay, maybe, but that's in preparation. I'm trying to improve my own quirk by assessing the different types that other people have. He's like, yeah, whatever you say, you freaking stalker. And Uraraka's like, what? I don't understand any of this. But nevertheless, Izuku's like, okay, Bakugo, I'm gonna be for real with you. This is my genuine friend. I met her while I was cleaning a beach for community service and for training. He's like, you were training without me? He's like, bruh, I have a life outside of you, you overzealous Pomeranian. It's like, whatever. It's like, yeah, I met her while I was training, and we just kind of hit it off, became fast friends. I like her moxie, she's a good inspiration for what a hero should be, It's like, hey, well, if the nerd believes in you, then you got my support too. And Uraraka just kind of like goes, gives up on trying to understand these two's dynamic and just goes, "Yeah, I'm just gonna like pretend like everything is normal." He's like, "Yeah, that's probably for the best, Uraka." But they go inside and they kind of they wait around, and when they get to the I think it's the aptitude test. Like, they're all sitting in their individual spots. Like, obviously, Izuku with Bakugo and Ochako somewhere else because they went to different schools. But, like, they go through the test, and I'm going to say that Izuku did well. He didn't do crazy well because he's, like... Well, actually, I'm going to say that he actually did do pretty good, but, like... But he's more street smart than book smart, so do with that as you will. But after it all is processed, they go into an auditorium where Izuku is sitting with Uraka and Bakugo at the same time, and President Mike is talking about how about the whole thing, about how they're going to be graded on their on hero points and all that, and he goes through the 1, 2, 3 pointer, and Izuku is just kind of like not paying attention to any of it. He's more focused on like strategizing, like not muttering, but strategizing how he's going to like do this bit, and the heat starts to kind of emanate out of his skin, and Bakugo like notices, but he's a agent of chaos. He's like, oh, this is gonna be funny. Let's see how long this goes on for. And Ochako, like, being the cuddle bug kind of person she is, she just kind of, like, scoots up closer to Deku and goes, oh, he's so warm. But obviously Deku's not paying a damn attention to what the hell is going on around him. But essentially the whole room starts to get hot. And President Mike goes, whoa, who cranked up the heater? I need to talk to Power Loader about the damn AC's going out again. Stupid things. But essentially, like Izuku's not paying attention, and the room is just getting hot, and he's like, "Well, listeners, let's hopefully wrap this up." And then, like, Ida gets up. He's like, "Sir, is on the pamphlets, I guess." Wait a second. The pamphlets, like, given out. There are 4 robots, not 3. If there's a mistake on Yue's part, then that's very shameful. And then he turns around towards Izuku and he says, I don't know what you're doing, but I get the feeling that you're the one who's creating this heat. And Deku finally snaps out of it. He's like, oh, shoot, I'm sorry. And he kind of like, he pulls it back in. Not like to a degree where the whole room just suddenly goes ice cold, but like, to where he's not actively creating the heat, and like the room just starts to cool off, like gradually, because like the door, like to the auditorium is like left open, because President Mike was just getting way too hot. He's like, maybe if I open this door, maybe all the heat will go out. But the room kind of cools down, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Basically, they're like, yeah. Now that I can think straight, now that it's starting to cool down in here, and getting nice and chilly. Yes, there was a 4th robot, but it's merely an obstacle. It's worth 0 points, so it's more of a hindrance than anything, and you'd be better off just avoiding it altogether, right? And it's acknowledged, and Ida sits down, and they all are put into like different arenas. Like Bakugo is going to be put into a separate arena, but luckily for Izuku, or luckily for like Ochako and Izuku, they're both in the same testing site. It's like, hey Deku, check it out, we got the same testing site. And Bakugo's like, man, I wish we were in the same testing site, because I'd love to go toe to toe to see which one of us could win. And Izuku's like, "Hey, Bakugo, I haven't eaten your explosions in a while, so do you mind like filling up my stomach?" She's like, and Uraka's like, "What the hell?" And Izuku's like, "Oh, I forgot to mention, I can eat flames. Like it's literally like eating spaghetti." And Uraka's like, "I thought you just created fire and emanated heat out of your body." He's like, No, I actually eat fire, and it makes my fire stronger." He's like, "Sure thing, nerd. Come here." And they kind of like go off towards a gated off corner where people can't see. And Uraka's like interested to figure out how this works, and she follows them there. And Izuku's like, "Come on, get all you got." And Bakugo's like, "Don't talk with your mouth open. It's weird." And Bakugo kind of like points his hand towards Izuku's mouth and just starts like letting off a bunch of explosions at the same time, which Izuku is flawlessly eating. But like Bakugo's trying to get as many out as possible, as quick as possible, so that like because they're making a racket with all the explosions, and he doesn't want to have like he doesn't want teachers or staff to come ask questions before anything else. He's like, "You got your fill?" He's like, "Yep." "Ooh, now I'm all fired up now." And Arker's like, "Oh my god, you actually ate fire. You actually ate the explosions. How the hell did you do that?" He's like, "I told you, I can eat it." "It's impressive, isn't it?" He's like, "Yes, it is, but like, bizarre. Very bizarre." Anyway, so they give Bakugo a farewell and go off to the different sites. Now, I'm gonna say that because of the explosions, like obviously the staff was alerted, but Nezu told them not to pursue it. That he's able to see what was going on through the cameras. Unfortunate for them, but and not to go snooping around, because he knows what's going on and not to worry about it. So they kind of own Nezu now that like he kind of kept the other teachers off his back, but Nezu's just sitting there with his little, his little tea set, his little teacup and kettle, and he's watching like, this year's applicants are very interesting, I must say. And a tired Aizawa's like, "Are you up to something again, Nezu?" He's like, "I don't know, whatever you mean, Aizawa. I'm merely excited for this year's upcoming students. They're very promising and very interesting." And when Eraser turned around, he's like, "I'm gonna go use one of the classrooms. I'm tired. Call me when when things start getting interesting." And Nezu is kind of after Aizawa leaves, Nezu's like sitting in his chair and he's doing that like evil cackling laugh to himself. Like he's like, "Interesting, very interesting. I wonder how they'll persist like this." That really kind of weird cackle he did. But anyway, so they all get to where they're gonna be meeting up or whatever, and like at the testing sites, and like President Mike is there. He's like, and he's like, he's getting there, but Izuku is standing next to Uraka, and Uraka is doing the the stress exercises where she's trying to calm herself down, and Izuku puts his hand on her shoulder. He's like, "Hey, Uraka, you're fine. I believe in you. You've been working really hard for the past couple months that you and me have been working together, okay? I believe in you. No need to worry. I've seen your strength. I've seen how hard and dedicated you are to this. If any of these people are going to get in, it's you and me and Bakugo. We're all getting in, okay? Believe in me. and she's comforted by this. She feels way better because she has someone who has verbally declared that they believe in her skill, that they believe that she is going to ace this, like the ace this test, like flawlessly. Like it kind of gives her that morale boost, that kind of confidence to do her best, and she feels better. But President Mike like the gates open, and when Izuku sees the gates open, he generates the fire in his feet, and he just burns rubber. He takes off, and the other applicants. Well, actually, technically, I'm gonna say that Ochako kind of like follows his lead, and she runs in too. Not as well, technically, I'd say that it would be as fast because she's using the she's like taking the weight off of her clothes to help her. Since she's been doing leg training, she runs decently fast now. But she's taken off like with Izuku, even if it wasn't as fast, and the others are just standing there, and President Mike is like, well, those two have the right idea. What are you doing? There's no countdowns in a real battle. Get out there. Go! And all the other applicants, they flood in like a bunch of headless chickens, bunch of morons who don't know how to think for themselves, and Izuku is already ahead of the curb. And he's doing his thing, he's like really taking off. And as he's kind of, doing his thing, I'm going to say that he runs into... I'm going to say the first robot that Deku encounters is a 3-pointer, or actually 3 3-pointers, and 2 1-pointers. Man, when he destroys them, what he does is that they look towards him, and he plans to destroy them as fast as possible, which to him is going to mean taking out their heads. So he rears back and yells out, "Fire Dragon's Claw!" And he rips through the 3-pointers and 1-pointers, causing them to essentially explode. Then he kind of jumps up into the air, and he repels himself up into the air, and he looks around and he sees another 3-pointer, and he uses claw again, kicking out his foot, creating and dragging a fiery hellstorm towards it. And when he swoops down, he notices that not only was there another 3-pointer there, but across the way there are 4 2-pointers. And so he feels that it is within his ability to go over there and wreck their ship. So he boosts over there as fast as he can, and he hits both his hands together, but igniting them in flames before yelling out, "Fire Dragon's Iron Fist!" and just completely, and I mean completely, railing his arms through each of their heads, and taking the heads with him. He's like, I don't want these damn things, and just throws them away. And he's looking around, and he sees that some of the other applicants are struggling just a little bit, just a wee bit. And while he's going, he sees a couple of interesting specimens. On one hand, he sees he sees a boy with yellow hair and but looks like a lightning bolt, kind of while he's flying, while Izuku's flying in the air, he seemed to be walking very confidently up to these robots, and he couldn't hear what the boy said, but he could see I'd say it's like a beam of electricity just kind of like shoots from his throat. Almost in the same fashion as when Izuku does it. But, like, instead of with fire, it's with lightning. I'm going to say Izuku was impressed at the fact that someone could do something similar, but with a different element. Which anyone listening knows exactly what Denki did, but nevertheless, we'll continue. But Izuku is, just kind of going through. He's destroying as many robots as he can. Like 3-pointers, a couple of 2-pointers, a 1-pointer here and there. And eventually, he gets to destroying a bunch of them, and he feels fairly confident in himself. Like, very, very confident. Like, he's not even worried because of how many robots he has sufficiently destroyed at this point. It's only a matter of, I guess you could say, trying to tally it all up. But I'm gonna say that by the time that we're getting to the end of the test, Izuku has about 63 points. Now he's done a fair amount, and that doesn't even include the amount of points he got from destroying robots that almost hit someone. So, there's going to be that plus the hero points later on. But, he's thinking to himself that he's going to cool down, just relax a bit and, I guess, figure out how, give people the limelight. Let other people, get some points in too. And as he's sitting on a roof, just kind of watching things go down, he feels a rumbling begin to take place. Like he just feels it, and and thinks to himself, "What the hell is that?" And then it came, the 0-pointer, the hulking colossus of a creature or robot amalgamation, and he's like, "Whoa! Now that's a big boy, right there." And he kind of jumps off of the roof of the building, and he lands on the ground. He's like, "Okay, I am fairly confident that I am not going to deal with that thing right now. I'm not in the mood." And, people are running away from the robot, and he's like, "This is boring. I need to get out of here." But, and as he's, kind of walking away, casually, just not giving a care in the world as to how close this thing is to him, he hears the sound of pain, like a pained sound, come from behind him, and when he turns around, with that look of I don't care on his face, it quickly shifts as soon as he sees that Uraraka is pinned under some rubble. And the inner dragon within his heart, the chivalry, the everything in between, the desire to protect, the fates themselves could not stop him at this moment. He leaped forward at a great and beautiful pace and just started to rocket as far as he could. This boy was catching gears and disappearing. He ain't gonna be stopped by nobody. And as he gets to Uraraka, he quickly grabs the rubble from around her feet, and he throws it as hard as he can with little to no ease. It wasn't even a question of whether he could do it or not. He just did it. But as soon as he did it, he tried to pick her up, but the robot was already on top of them. And Izuku, not feeling that he could move fast enough in the moment, he his body kind of how do I say this? Took action before his brain could think it through. And he used the excess fire that he got off of Katsuki earlier, and he he brought it to the surface, and he shot up. Like he used some of Katsuki's flames to kind of like propel him upwards, like towards the robot, as its hulking body was kind of like rearing its fist down to hit them. And as he is propelled into the air, he generates two massive fires on both of his hands. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until he's got a massive flame with it, like surrounding him. And as he kind of pours some of Katsuki's explosive flames in there, he yells out, "Fire Dragon's brilliant flame!" in a giant, humongous, like a amalgamation of like fire just like erupts from both of his arms as he strikes the robot dead center, and all of the metal on the robot just starts to burn and melt and just liquidize. Like, this robot was not going to be nothing but just a pile of like sludgy, like molten sludge in a matter of seconds for daring to try and hurt Izuku's Uraraka. Like, it wasn't to a point where, like, because if it was turning to molten metal sludge, like, it would drip on her, but like, he hit it so hard it knocked it backwards, and just the heat from Izuku was melting it down at an extreme rate, to where, like, within a matter of, I'm gonna say, about 10 seconds, this thing was like already a pile of goo, like falling, like as it was falling backwards. Every circuit, every piece of metal, nothing could stand in between this thing. And in that moment, Izuku just knew he could not stand there and just let this happen. And the result was this: the pile of zero-pointer goo that has now found its way, like, right there. And as Izuku is kind of like propelling himself back down, he's noticeably he's become noticeably tired, because he's basically used up all of his fire plus Bakugo's just to pull this stunt off. And he knows, damn, I'm really gonna need to recharge after this. Whew. That was one hell of a stunt I just pulled. And he's kind of, after he catches his breath, he's like, let's get you to the front gate. And he picks up Uraraka, and she's like, she's blushing, but she's like more concerned about Izuku. She's like, Izuku, are you okay? And that looked like it was extremely what's the word? Taxing on you. He's like, I'll be fine. I'll be back at 100% in a couple of hours. I just need to recharge my fire a little bit. And Izuku is just like puffing at this point. Like, he is like exhausted. He's like, dang. Whew, I didn't think I'd have... I don't know what came over me, but I just lost a lot of fire there. Whew. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that as Izuku kind of like develops, like, he's going to have more firepower in the future. He's going to develop that ability to just, be and exert more fire for longer periods of time, just not have to worry. But it's like the amount of fire he has used today has just become extreme on his body, and it's like not funny. It's not funny. It's not fun. It's like, yeah, just not fun. But nevertheless, he gets her to the front gate, and by this point, President Mike has already kind of like said, okay, the test is over. If anyone is hurt, go to the front gate. There's Recovery Girl, and Izuku takes Uraraka to Recovery Girl, and Recovery Girl looks over him and says, "My, what great chivalry you have to carry this young lady over here all the way to me, to little old me, the healer." It's like, well, her foot's hurt. I couldn't just leave her over there by the molten sludge. And she's like, I see that. That's quite the fire you got there, Sonny, to turn one of our giant robots into that. And just like indicate the giant molten sludge that's just like sitting in the middle of the fake city. And like, if it wasn't for the fact that like UA has a lot of protocols, and I'm pretty sure Nezu has kind of initiated a bunch of like robots to go like cool this mess of sludge down, there'd be a bigger problem, but they're not as worried. So whatever. Anyway, recovered girl kind of kisses Ochako's cheek, and her foot gets better, and she's like, man, I'm tired now. She's like, well, that's normal with my quirk. Here, have a gummy. And she gives Uraka a gummy. And he's like, are you, young man, are you hurt in any way? Do you need any... do you need me to heal you? He's like, nope, I am completely fine. My skin is rather hard. So, like, I can be hit, but as long as I'm hit on the scales, I don't have anything to worry about. She's like, well, it's good to have a good defense, but don't take that for granted. Just because you can take a couple hits does not mean that your body is invulnerable. It's going to do a bit of damage on you if you overwork yourself. He's like, I know, ma'am. And I promise to be careful. She's like, good on you, young man. Good on you. And, I'm going to kind of shift the view to the UA teachers, and I'll be honest, they're all impressed. They're like, this kid, what is he made of? Like, because they're watching everything. Like they were impressed by like his skills and like the kind of stuff that he was doing before, but when they pulled out the 0-pointer and they saw him essentially create a molten fireball, like, and turn the 0-pointer into a molten sludge, they were impressed. They're like, this kid has some real firepower under his belt. We can't let this bright young man with so much heroic potential go. If we did that, then we'd be missing out on an asset on the hero side. And Nezu brings up the fact that he has a recording from earlier of Bakugo feeding Izuku explosions, and he's like, well, if you think that's interesting, take a look at this. And they all see it, and they're like, is he eating explosions? Yes, he is. Huh. This kid never ceases to amaze me. Like, they're all impressed. And Vlad King is like begging. He's like pleading with everything he's got. Please, Principal Nezu, let me have the kid. Let me have the kid, please. And Nezu's like, Vlad, you know how the rules go. Our top students go into Class 1A with Eraser, and you get the leftovers. And like the other teachers are laughing. When President Mike kind of like hears this over the radio or whatever, that they're using. I can't remember if President Mike was went to watch along with the other teachers and just went announced that it was all over after. But if he was there, then he's the one that's laughing the loudest at what Nezu said to Vlad. And Vlad's like, Nezu, now, you know that my class is just as important as 1A. He's like, Vlad King, I'm putting the boy in 1A, and that's final. I am the principal, not you. And I feel that he will do better under Aizawa's tutelage. So if you don't mind, I will run my school the way I feel, and you will run your class 1B your way. And we can both be happy that we got what we wanted. Well, that is unless you wish to challenge my vast intellect, and a collective chill goes across all of the teachers' backs as they feel like their lives are now in at stake because Vlad King could not shut his mouth. And he's like, "No, Principal, I take back my statement." He's like, "Good. Now, I would like to personally, and I mean personally, have one of you have this boy's results delivered, because there's no way that we are passing up an opportunity like this." Well, along with that young girl right there, she's got some very good points as well. And by all means, I'd say that this year's crop of students is going to be very interesting, a very promising batch. And as Izuku and Uraraka and Bakugo were leaving the school, a noticeable vehicle kind of came to the front gate, and out popped the Principal Nezu. And he's like, "Am I a bear? Am I a mouse? Am I a dog?" All of those questions are of no concern. All that needs to be known is that I am the principal of UA. And I would like to talk to you, young man. And Deku's like, "Oh, what? Well, this is kind of extra." And he's like, "No need to worry, young man. Follow me. And Izuku's like, "Can these two come?" He's like, "Sure thing, young man. Come on. Just come on. Don't dilly-dally. Come on." And he offers to take each of the kids home. He just really wants to talk to them, right? And they're like, "Okay." And he starts to indicate for them to drive them to each of their houses, because he feels that these three are very interesting. He wasn't gonna do anything extra with Bakugo and Uraraka, but just because of the fact that Izuku has now asked if these two can accompany him, he's going to be extra with these two now. He's like, "So, young man, I would like to personally give you your acceptance letter. In the observation room, I have to say, your performance was one of the best I have ever seen. Not to mention, you beat All Might's record." He's like, "I did what now?" He's like, "Yes, young man, you beat the number one hero's record in the entrance exam. His record was about, what, I'm gonna freaking say 120, and I'm gonna say that Izuku got because of his rescue points, he got 82 rescue points because he did a lot of rescuing. He helped a bunch of students and all that, and then very heroically saved Uraraka. So in total, he got 145 points, and Uraraka is impressed. Bakugo was impressed. They're just hyping him up, and Nezu's like, "Yep, and since the both of you have come with young Izuku here, I would like to give you your acceptance letters as well, because the both of you also showed great promise, just the same as young Izuku. Though I will have to say that having your friend fire explosions into your mouth before the test was rather perplexing." And they were cheering before, but then when Nezu said this, they're like, "Oh shoot, he saw us!" And they're like, "How did you know about that?" "Children, I have cameras in my school. I'm not going to leave a small corridor uncameraed. I wouldn't want kids sneaking around and smoking in my school, now would I?" And he's like, "That's fair. Not to mention, you weren't exactly quiet. I heard I had to tell plenty of my teachers not to go investigate the exploding noises that they heard in the corridor. Yeah, they're embarrassed. They kind of feel embarrassed about the fact that they were caught. But nevertheless, they all get their letters personally by Nezu, and he tells them like when the first day of UA is, and like he tells them that he's going to have their UA uniforms like shipped out to them as soon as possible, and that he can't wait to see them in for their first day. And he drops all of them off at their homes, and Izuku is just like, he's still stunned by the fact that he got his acceptance letter hand delivered by the principal himself, along with his two best friends, or best friend and the girl he's smitten for. But whatever. Well, we'll call it even. But with that being said, I think I'm going to leave off for this part. And aside from Denki, I would like you my little listeners to reach out and tell me which students you would like the other dragons to go to, and for show of which ones I'm already planning on. It obviously Deku has fire, Denki has lightning, and I'm gonna say that the next one is going to be that Tokoyami has the Shadow Dragon. But for the other two that I'm going to have in here that are represented as the 5 dragons, the next one is going to be, or the two that I want y'all to vote on are the Wind Dragon and the Iron Dragon. So, until then, I'll see you all later. And don't forget, the shadows are watching.